What's up, beer drinkers? How y'all doing this week? We got a special show for you this week. Sorcerer Chromatic could not be here, but I am here, and actually, I have something I've been wanting to put out for a while because I recorded it back in July of last year. It's been almost a year since I've sat on this, but I had a good reason. So, this segment that's coming up is something that we recorded over at my friend Nate's house. You might know him on Instagram at Boozy Scientist, and I've talked about him before. He's a home brewer, and I've gone over there a couple times. The first time I went over there was in July of last year, and we brewed a Belgian, just a Belgian, I think, strong ale, and or golden ale maybe. Anyway, I forgot exactly what the category it was, but he opened up his house and he invited a bunch of people from an Instagram group that I am in with him. And so there's maybe about like 8 or 9 people at his house. And, I was very interested on how he brewed, more so than maybe some of the other people. But we were doing a bottle share as well. A lot of people brought some stuff. And then afterwards, after we brewed, went in the house because I had brought my equipment, and I believe Rachel Bierkowski was there, and then the girls from Girls Pine Out, including Ronnie, Jen, and Jessica. And so we had a little round table, and we talked about the beer we brewed and just about beer in general, and asked the Girls Pine Out ladies how they there's some upcoming stuff, so it's totally dated because of that. I was hoping to get this beer a little bit sooner. I finally got this beer maybe a couple months ago, and I've just been conditioning it in my refrigerator because just been really busy with the podcast and putting out shows, and just haven't had a chance to put this one out and actually even tried the beer. So truth be told, I already opened it and I've already sipped it a little bit. I did a little bit of I did a little video for Instagram, so when this show drops, I'll be putting that into the or on Instagram, and so you'll see it. And little nod to my buddy Nate. If you follow him on Instagram at Boozy Scientist, I kind of stole his style, his gimmick. The only thing I didn't have was a ring that I can open the bottle of beer with, but I use my Eagle cap off. So, little brand recognition there for the Eagle cap off guys. Because I do love my Eagle cap off bottle opener. So I was able to use that. Not a lot, and I've talked about that with Sorcerer Chromatic. I haven't had a lot of bottles lately. When I bought it, bombers were the thing. And so we'd always open a bomber. And, we borrowed a little bit from our buddies over at WrestleLingus, the whole cap off gimmick that they had going on for a long time. And so that's why we called it cap off. And we used to cap off all the time because it was a bottle cap. But then everyone started canning everything. And so that's why we turned it into the pop off. So that's where that came from, in case any of y'all were wondering. So I was able to use my Eagle cap off. So that was a Kickstarter that I participated in a while back. But back to the beer. This Belgian is very nice. It's very dry and crisp, and very well conditioned in the bottle, because it's been a while since he bottled it, and it has not lost any flavor. Very fruity, a lot of fruit esters in the yeast. I know he put some Belgian candy that he made himself. He made his own Belgian candy. I guess it wouldn't be Belgian candy. I guess it'd be Arizona candy, Phoenix candy. So he had a recipe so he made his own candy for this to put in there. And we did talk about the ABV, the expected ABV. So I really don't know what it is. I want to say it's around like 7 or 8, somewhere around there. It's a pretty big range, but we talk about it in the show, or in the episode that we recorded, the segment that we recorded. So, and like I said, it was back in July of 2023. So to be honest, I can't even remember what I did last week, let alone what I did last year. So you'll hear that in a little bit. But this beer is really good. I'm not even sure if I can rate it on Untapped, but just to speed things along, it's just going to be the segment, and then it's going to end after that. I'm not going to come back. So if I was going to rate this, I liked it. I think it's really good. I think it's not really a crushable, but man, the taste is so good. I just want to keep sipping. I just wish I had another bottle. I think I'm supposed to. He's going to host another brew day, May the 5th. I think it's Cinco de Mayo. We're doing another brew day at his pad, so. Maybe, hopefully, he's got another one. I would really like to have another one of these. But anyway, that's about it for my little preamble, my little ramblings on before we get to the actual recording with the other people, talking with other people anyway. Don't forget to follow us on Untapped and Instagram. Search Cold Brew Podcast and friend us, and we'll friend you back. And also, friend me on Instagram, coldbrew_Greg, spelled just like the show is, COLDBRUE_Greg. And I'll be posting more, like I said, I'll be posting more of my individual exploits on there. And I hope you enjoy my shenanigans. So without further ado, it's time for a special cold brew.
So consensus of the day is there is not a beer that Nate makes that is not delicious.
True. Absolutely. Agreed.
The end.
And it's fucking hot outside.
It is hot outside.
Nice. Compared to the last fucking 21 days, it's been nice. It's been nice out there.
Nate, this is not hoppy at all. I don't know what you're talking about.
Really?
Really?
Okay.
The Kolsch. Try it.
I want to try it.
Nate, can I trouble for you for a beer?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry.
Thank you, man.
What do you want?
Sorry, you're working, so we
whatever,
see you
bro.
are
Alright,
drinking.
so I got a Kolsch, I have a Pilsner, I have a black licorice stout, I have
Let me get the
Hammer Ale.
I mean,
Let me get the pills, please.
yeah, I would say it was bitter.
Yeah, no,
You guys
no.
got
The
hot
pills.
flavor than some I've had.
We'll have to ask him what he means by it's too hoppy.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure
Yeah.
what he means by that.
True.
But I think it's lovely.
That's good.
Yeah.
Do you taste the licorice in it?
Tracy's? Yes.
I know you guys were
Alright, you will get one of my second favorite glasses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's got that little flare at
Wait,
the
really
end.
what's
good.
the first favorite that you have?
My first favorite glass, it's out there somewhere. It's just a standard. I'll grab it. I'll show you.
It tastes kind
Is it
of
the
like,
drink local one?
No.
No?
It's like a
Okay.
smoky
Oh, this is kinda cool. It's
scent
like
to
those-
it. Do you guys smell smoky?
Those Sam Adams glasses a little bit, but it's got a little
Totally.
angle right here on this.
Yeah, I
It's
get
this
some
one.
smokiness to that.
Like, I mean, it's,
Oh.
I don't know what about it. Like it's wide and it holds a certain amount of head on it if you pour it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a good glass.
It's like a Weiss glass, right?
Yes.
Like
I would say that's a Hefeweizen glass. Yeah.
$1 at Dollar General.
Hell yeah.
a-
That's what they are good for. So what's up, Nate? How you doing, brother? Let's get closer to the mics, everyone, when we talk.
Okay.
I'm going to be adjusting the volumes until I get it, and then I'll take them off. But
He's the DJ.
yeah, she's a vet. She knows exactly what she's doing. By the way, that
That's
last
a lie.
beer history we did, I haven't put it out yet. It's coming out on the 3rd.
Okay. It's like,
you
that
know
was
why?
like months ago.
Excuse me, sorry.
What did we learn at this?
Do you know why?
It was IPA.
Do you know why?
Oh,
it's coming
because
out?
it's National IPA Day on Thursday.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
On August 3rd.
August
Yes. Smart.
Yep.
You're very smart.
First Thursday of the month of August.
Of August, correct.
doesn't matter.
Yes.
Sometimes it's the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th.
Sure.
whatever.
Yeah.
Love it.
So how's the black licorice coming through on that?
I'm really enjoying this.
Yeah, it's not too heavy.
Solid choice, yes.
I like it too. It's
good.
really
I get
nice.
smokiness from it. I don't know if anybody else gets that, but it's good.
But it's another one of those things where you try to find a balance. Like, you don't want to slap somebody in the face with the flavor of it. Like, I wanted a stout that had some flavor to it. I didn't want a black licorice flavored beer. If that,
I don't know if I would
like it almost sounds like the same thing, but I think you can make a beer with flavor, or the flavor is the life of the party. And I try to find that balance between, okay, so like this is, I don't remember, let's say this is my Kolsch. Let's say if I wanted to make a strawberry flavored Kolsch, I still want you to know that it's a Kolsch with some strawberry flavor versus, wow, this is a strawberry beer. What flavor is it? Mm-hmm. So that's the balance. Like, I want that beer to be somebody who, like, I personally don't like black licorice, but I like that beer. So that's the balance that I try to find with that beer. I want it to have that flavor of black licorice, but it's not smack you in the face black licorice.
So it's like a compliment. Like,
yes.
It's complimenting the beer. It's not overpowering. It's not taking over. It's complimenting what's already there.
Yeah, because my original idea was to brew a stout as dark as I could get it, and then I was like, what flavor should it be? And I was like, oh, black licorice. I'll do black licorice. And then a friend of mine, because of those skull mugs that I have, they were like, you should call it Skull Mug Stout. So that's how it came about. But it was never the idea for it to be like hit you over the head with whatever flavor it was. It was to brew a beer that was accented by the flavor.
Absolutely. I mean, when you said black licorice, I'll be honest, I'm not like a huge fan. I was like, oh God, like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this, but I tried it and I'm like, oh, that's really good. Like, it's more like subtle. Like, you're kind of like, oh, like, this is a great.
Oh, I gotta try this.
My face is not slapped.
But then there's like another flavor that's coming through, and I think
Blackjack gum and
such a great point to make that, like,
Or it's not like Mike and Ike's or anything like that.
You want the beer to be the beer, and you're just
yeah.
adding to it. You're
That's nice.
complimenting it. You're adding, accentuating it, if you will.
Yeah.
No, so you
'Cause
do
like
a
I
really
said,
good job with that.
Personally, I don't like black licorice, but I like that beer. And so I think that's the balance that I try to find.
Well, and that's, I think, the real art of brewing. And I mean, there's different levels of what people want out of a beer, right? So some people want the nuanced things like you're talking about, but then there's other people that want to be punched in the face by whatever flavor it says on the can: vanilla, orange, pineapple, whatever. So,
I mean, if it's watermelon, I want to be punched in the face.
okay.
Yes.
Very fair, right? So,
There is no wrong or right with that.
Exactly.
It's what you prefer.
It's so
and
subjective.
You want to have the beer and like what it is, and then add to it, which is great. But yes, there is like another side, and what's beautiful about it is there's no right or wrong.
exactly.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
So Nate, you said you started brewing in 2020. What made you want to start brewing beer?
I made a list of things that I wanted to start making instead of buying.
Okay.
It's like
Love that.
bread,
Yeah.
bread, cheese, tortillas, tamales, beer, a few other things. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but beer was on that list of things that I wanted to start making instead of buying. And like, a lot of people started brewing when the pandemic hit, but it was just coincidence. Like, my starting brewing had nothing to do with the pandemic. I had been researching brewing and starter kits for like a year. And, I had a good paycheck one week, and I was like, you know what? I got some extra overtime. I got paid extra. I went online and bought a starter kit, and that's how I started brewing.
But did you know anyone else who brewed beer, or were you just going on the online blogs and stuff?
I did not know a single home brewer.
Okay.
And even to this day, there's Shane, Craig, and Adam. Those are like the three people that I would consider close friends that are brewers.
Okay.
Everybody is just like acquaintances or whatever. So it wasn't even a matter of like, oh, I want to be a part of that group. It was just like I was literally on my own. Like today is the first time that anybody's been over for a brew day for me, and I've been brewing since May of 2020.
Wow.
Well, thank you for having
We
us.
appreciate
It
you.
went very well. We had a lovely time, and he is.
Yeah, it was
a
so much fun.
genius.
Yeah, and you're a good host too. So, and you
Absolutely.
didn't. I like the fact that you didn't mind dumbing it down for us lay folk when you were telling about what you were doing, because I am familiar with the brewing process. I've never been as even though I barely even helped. I've never been this in depth in the brewing process. So it was pretty cool. I liked it.
Yeah, no, I had a blast today. Like the fact that I could, so like when it's just me out there and I'm brewing, like I have all this information and all these processes going in my head, but I can talk to anybody about it. So like this was fun for me to be able to talk to you and talk to Rachel and talk to everybody about what the next step is and temperatures and timing and all that stuff. So I had a blast.
Right on. And let's talk about what we brewed today. It was a Belgian Tripel, and you added some candy. That you added some packaged candy and some that you made.
Yeah. So Belgian candy sugar is just basically candy that you make from sugar, but you add an acid to convert it from one type of sugar to another type of sugar. And I had bought some sugar, but then I was like, you know what? It'll be cool to make my own candy sugar because I do a lot of baking. I make
Was candy on your list of making things to make?
Yeah, and yes, it was. And I actually, I mean, it's been a couple of years, but I make candy all the time. And in fact, in my cabinet, I have probably 10 different candy flavorings for making hard candy.
Really?
So
Okay.
So for making the candy sugar for this recipe was a no-brainer. And you know, it's one of those things where yeah, you can go out and buy something, but how cool is it to make it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah. And the Belgian triple recipe does include Belgian candy sugar, and I had bought a pound of it, but I wanted to make my own, so I made my own, and I used these candy molds, these molds that I have that are for dog treats. It's like a dog paw and a dog bone.
Super cute.
And you know, I really enjoy the brewing process, so I do things that make it fun for me.
Yeah. Now, is that one of the things that why you kept doing it is because you enjoyed the brewing process? Do you find kind of like a zen in that?
Yeah. Like it's like alchemy, like taking these things and turning it into something else.
Into gold, liquid
Like-
gold.
So like if I take water, grains, hops, and yeast and turn it into something that, like, it still blows my mind that I can make beer. Like, I mean, I've been doing it for 3 years, and it genuinely blows my mind that I can make this and I can share it with people. And it's not saying that it's commercial quality, but I think I make a pretty decent beer. And
Agreed.
I would attest to that.
Yes.
so it's just like I just like taking elements of things and turning it into something else, just like the same way as cooking. I'll open a bottle of my beer and I'll try it, and I'll just step back and go, wow, I actually made that. And whether it's the best beer ever, I don't know, but just the fact that I can take these ingredients and turn them into something else and use science and biologies and temperature and turn it into something that I can share with people is really cool.
It is, and it's a social product. I mean, beer brings people together, right? That's what brought us all here
Absolutely.
today.
Exactly.
Cheers to that.
Cheers. Yeah, that's the story of history. Can we do a good clank and hear it on the microphones?
Oh, yeah,
I
we
don't
can
know. Let's not break glasses. We'll do it. We'll try it anyways.
Do you have a favorite beer that you like to brew?
I don't think I do. Like, I like sours. I like lagers. But I think if I think of, like, for me, the recipe that, or the beer that gives me the most good feels is a lemon shandy that I haven't brewed in like a year or so.
Summer beer. Talking my
Because
language.
and a few good friends of mine's, like, it just been like when I brewed it and I had people over and I just think about the good memories and the good times that we had and everybody enjoyed that beer. So if I had to pick a favorite beer, it's probably a lemon shandy because I have a memory connection to it.
Gosh, I loved what you just said about how like it was a memory connected to it, and I feel like that's for me. Like when I drink a certain beer, like it's not just because of the flavor. I think there's like the memory component to it, which is super special to mention when you're talking about beer. That's what I love about beer. So I love that you said that.
Yeah. It's a communal and very social product.
And the sensory connection, just even you smell certain smells or taste certain tastes, it takes you back to, like, you're in kindergarten or you're back in, at your grandma's house or just something like that. And beer can do that. Just like Jess was saying that, beer can do that to just the same as any other flavor. Or so, yeah, I mean, I totally get that. Totally understand why. Might not be your favorite style, but that style in particular brings back so many good memories.
The connection.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you think about like, you ask people like what their favorite beer is, or maybe like when did you start drinking beer?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, I mean, sometimes it's solid beer, and sometimes it's a beer that like, it could have been like, Bud Light was your first beer, or like it was just the first beer that you ever tried, or the first. For me, it was Four Peaks was like the first craft beer that I ever really enjoyed, and so. Like when I drink Four Peaks, I'm like, I'm so happy. I'm like, this was like what started it all,
Yeah.
And so I think that also like can play into like the type of beer and also the brewery too.
Very cool. So, like, how many beers right now do you have fermenting? Just the one that we brewed today, or do you have a couple more?
I have a lambic that
Right. Okay. I remember you mentioned that earlier.
it's about either 54 or 55 days in. It's sitting in a closet. It has I put 4 pounds of plums, 5 pounds of plums in it. So I don't plan on bottling it until December or maybe January. But so that's the only other beer that I have fermenting besides the one that we did today.
Oh, okay. And usually you just have 1 or 2 at a time.
I try to have 2 or 3 going in.
Okay.
So, I mean, I have about 7 or 8 fermenters, and I don't like having empty fermenters. I always want to have something going, like that bucket right there that has grains in it for a sour.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna do a sour that, if it works out the way that I want it, it'll be a cherry limeade sour.
Ooh.
I have this what is it called? It's like this cherry. It's basically sugar, but it's cherry flavored, and you add it to the boil, and then I'm gonna buy some limes and I'm gonna zest some limes to get the lime flavor of it. And the yeast that I'm using is a souring yeast. So I have the cherry and the lime from the flavors, and the yeast will turn it sour. So it's going to be a cherry limeade sour. That's the next one that I have on the horizon.
All right.
Oh, that sounds so good.
But next weekend?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
a weekend?
Like, do you need help zesting?
Now, I think Nate, I think you should talk about the plum beer that we had and what you did to harvest the yeast and what makes that so unique and different.
That was amazing. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't even remember where I got the idea, but just at some point something popped in my head, like make it, because I've always known that white stuff on the outside of grapes or stone fruit is yeast. So I had this idea that I can harvest that yeast off the outside of a stone fruit and make a beer out of it. So I bought 4 plums, but I only used 2. But I bought plums from my store and I rinsed them off to get any dirt off of it, and then I peeled them, and then I took the plum skin and I added it to a sugar solution or wort to let it propagate and build up the yeast from it. And then I did it again. Like, my original thought was to just do a 2 or 3 gallon batch just to see if it would work. And the yeast took off so well that I decided to do a 5 gallon batch. So literally just grabbed random fruit off the shelf at my grocery store, and was able to propagate and harvest yeast from those plums and brew a beer from it.
It's amazing. I had no idea that the white stuff on plums and stone fruit was yeast. I didn't know that till today. Today I learned.
Yeah, like you can pick apples from an orchard and mash them and don't add any yeast, and it's going to create cider. A lot of, and hopefully I'm not speaking out of turn, but a lot of wineries, they don't add yeast to the grapes after they mash them. Like, there's a little yeast on the outside of the grapes, and that's what ferments and turns into alcohol. So the plum loco beer that I brewed, like, the initial batch was supposed to be proof of concept. So can I brew a beer with yeast that I harvest off of the skin of fruits? And I wanted to use local yeast, so I can say it's Arizona.
Sure.
But the yeast took off so well. Like, the fruit, like the little sticker on it said it was from Chile. But then at the same time I was thinking, like, what yeast and bacteria did it pick up along the way? So I have no way. I wanted to get organic fruit, and I wanted to get local fruit so that it wasn't sprayed with pesticide that could mutate any yeast or anything. I wanted to have just local and organic as possible. And that batch was supposed to be a proof of my concept. But the yeast took off so well that I decided to brew a beer with it, and I ended up making a 5 gallon batch of it. And
it was amazing too.
It was delicious. Yeah.
I mean, even if it turned out awful, my biggest thing was the fact that I could brew a beer with yeast from, like,
from itself.
From buying 2 pieces of fruit from the grocery store.
Yeah.
So that told me that all these processes and all these things that I've learned and tried to figure out the science of it, I'm on the right track. The fact that I can take 2 pieces of fruit from the grocery store and harvest yeast from it and build it up and brew a beer from it, that told me that I'm going down the right path. Like, I understand the science of it. I understand the biology of it. We're always chasing the craft. I'll probably never feel like I've learned everything I need to learn, but that told me that I'm really on the right path.
And that's why
trying to
you're,
figure
you're
it
the
out.
boozy scientist, right?
Yeah.
Is that where you got your
Exactly.
Instagram handle
Yeah.
from?
So, and that boozy scientist thing, like that wasn't my own. A friend of mine, I was telling her about brewing and temperature and all these other things and how the yeast eats sugar and all this stuff, and she goes, "So you're like a boozy scientist?" It's like, oh, that's kind of cool. And so, and that's when I changed my Instagram name to Boozy Scientist, because I don't know, it just felt like it fit.
Just definitely does.
Yeah.
Okay, can I ask a question though? Can you buy organic plums in Arizona? Have you looked into that? Because I know we grow a lot of
There are
fruit
people
and
that have fruit
citrus.
trees. We just need people to donate their fruit.
Yeah, so if
Yeah.
anybody has a plum
Donate your
tree,
fruit to
Donate your
Nate.
fruit.
we
Holy
need to
moly.
So-
Do it.
So,
recruit you.
one
Any
of my customers at my grocery store brought in some plums,
Oh, that's right, you did tell us.
and I actually have a jar of yeast from from those plums. I don't know how I feel about it. It's like I was talking to you earlier about if it smells funky, if it smells really bad, is not good. So,
Unsure.
There's some bacteria to
I'm-
that.
Unsure at this moment.
I'm unsure at this moment.
Yes.
So I might have to find another source.
So if you have plums, let us know.
Yeah.
Hit up Cold Brew Podcast.
Yeah.
We will give you a mailing address.
Yeah. And it needs to be organic so that
No
we
pesticides.
don't have any mutated organisms from pesticides.
Absolutely. Is there any other fruit that you really want to brew with?
Good
Peaches.
question.
Ooh, yeah.
Peaches.
And-
Who doesn't
and-
like
And this
peaches?
is kind of weird. So like at work, when the peaches get really really ripe, I can smell them
Yes.
on the other
There's
side of the
nothing like
store.
the smell of fresh peaches.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love the smell of peaches. And then there's a band called the Presidents of the United
Yep.
States.
Yes.
Hot USA, yeah.
And they had this song, Peaches.
Millions of peaches.
Peaches for me. and it's one of my favorite songs.
Oh.
So I want to make a peach flavored beer because of that song and
Love it.
the smell of like. I mean, there's very few smells that smell as good as peaches at their at their peak
Right.
of perfection.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so like the ideal fruit or the ideal beer for me next would be peaches.
Yes.
What style of beer though? That's
So for me, a wheat beer is always a good base beer for whatever I'm gonna do. Whether I'm gonna add fruit, whether I'm gonna add spices. I brewed a wheat beer and I added 2 pounds of honey to it. So I always feel like 60% base malt and 40% wheat is a good base beer for anything that you're going to do. Whether you're going to do a sour or a fruit flavored beer or you're going to add spices. So it would probably be a wheat based beer.
okay.
It's a good blank canvas starter beer.
I don't know. When it comes to stone fruit beers, I love hazy IPAs that
what
taste
I
like
was
stone
thinking.
fruits. But
Yeah,
don't know.
mango, passion fruit.
no,
Yeah.
like more like apricot and stone and peach and plum over the tropical side. That's just my own personal preference.
Apricot would be good. Like Fire and Fury had an apricot beer.
So you
Oh,
I
my-
went there
Pull-ups
and
is what you
tried
need.
it.
Yeah,
Yes.
like that is probably the best fruit flavored beer I've had in my life. Like because that took me back to my childhood of stealing apricots off of my neighbor's tree and running behind my house and eating like I don't know if they used real fruit or puree or extract, but they nailed the essence of that
Mike
beer.
at Fire and Fury, can you please let us know where you get your peaches from? Thank you.
So speaking of that, like what are some of your favorite breweries in the area, in the valley, or even like in Flagstaff and Tucson too, like in the state?
So I like Kitsune, Fire and Fury, Simple Machine, and then why am I drawing a blank? I'm drawing a complete blank. But yeah, those three. Because I brew so much, I don't actually go out and.
That's understandable, yeah. Like, why spend your money
Got
when you
your
have
own
it at
supply.
home?
Like I've already gone through all that process of creating and fermenting and bottling beer, so I don't go out a lot to sample beers, but I really love Kitsune and Tyler over there, and is it Mike or Mickey?
Yeah.
Mike over in Fire and Fury, and the guys over at Simple Machine.
Oh, Marshall and
Coley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and then Verde up in Camp Verde. Like I went up to Jerome one day, and then I was driving back, and I did a Google search, and I heard about Verde Valley, and I stopped there and
They have some good beer.
had a pulled pork sandwich and a couple of beers, and it was awesome. Like I can't wait to get back up there.
You can check that place out.
Yeah, I haven't been there
Oh,
yet.
it's good. It's worth it.
Yeah,
I
definitely
drank my entire
stop.
family there. I'm like, we're all drinking beer.
Yeah.
Do we all
Yeah,
want some more beer?
and the only
Yes,
Keep it
ma'am.
going?
the only
Yes,
problem with that one, it's like an hour up the freeway,
Yeah.
so you can
Away from
only
everything.
drink so much, because are you really going to drive down the freeway after having 4 or 5 beers?
I mean, there's an RV
Sure.
park right there.
That's the way I feel about like going up to Flag or down
Stay
to
the night.
Tucson. You know, going up there or down there for some beers, it's like I don't want to have to drive all the way back. So you kind of have to make an overnight stay of it. You don't have to, but it helps.
It's recommended.
Recommended. There you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
They have most of their beers in cans to go when you're walking out the door, though. So, you can
when you're
snag
up there,
some
you
along the
wanna-
way. Yeah.
And then, and I would say this if you weren't sitting across the table from me, but
Please feel no need.
but obviously
You're talking about Bone House now. Okay, didn't see that coming.
So there's a guy that he's a professional brewer that I follow. He's in Ohio, and he talks about it's not always about the beer. It's about the ambiance and the environment that you create. Like you could, if you have a good vibe, if it's a good place, you could have the world's crappiest beer, but people will want to still keep coming there because the environment that you created.
Yeah.
So
It's all part of the experience.
yeah.
It's not just drinking a beer. It's having a
So,
full experience.
Yeah, it's not about having the best beer. It's about having a good beer and also having a good experience for the customer. And even though Bonehouse is like 45 minutes away from
Yeah.
where I live,
Solid 45 minutes. Yes.
I've yet to have a bad time there. And
Yep.
and
For sure.
and I really enjoy
Jess has gone into the fridge and she literally brought out 5 beers.
Hey, it works. That's
And then she brought
And
it.
she's like, we're all drinking these beers, and she
can
just
opener.
popped one open, and
She has a
Nate's
can
like,
opener.
what
Can opener.
fucking bottle opener are you
It has
using?
a bottle of her on
She's
it.
being
me one. Okay?
She's being resourceful. She's using a wine opener / can opener / whatever the fuck it is opener, and she's currently popping bottles. So this is a woman's world. So you make shit work.
In her defense, I have no idea where my bottle opener.
Thank you. I'm like, is it right in front of my eyes?
No.
You're making it work, girl.
She fucking
the
gets
church
it
key is on
done.
the floor. I thought I saw it last. I thought someone picked it up.
Oh my goodness.
Out there in the garage.
Thank you, Jess.
I don't know what you
Like,
guys
what are we drinking?
Okay, this is a
Mystery beer.
surprise.
I have no idea.
So next on the segment is guess
what
you're drinking.
Where's the lid?
Guess what you're drinking.
I have WS. Whatever WS is, that's what I'm drinking.
Mine is very
Or is
carbonated.
it SM? Who knows?
No, that's SM. That's the same beer that you just drank.
Oh, thank God.
So
I
let's
loved it. I'll take
we can trade.
Oh Jesus! This
Oh,
is
it was
very
gorgeous.
Wait, which one was your bottle cap?
OBDB.
I don't even think I told.
Oh,
dirty
BB?
bastard.
That's what literally where my brain went.
Oh, dirty bastard.
An R?
Oh, no, that's my wit beer.
This was hers.
So that's Orange Blossom.
Okay.
Orange Blossom. Okay,
Orange
so this is
Blossom.
what I had. This is what I had in the river
Yes.
for my
I
birthday.
honestly don't even
Yes.
remember which one.
I mean, I would sure. I end
I
up
have no idea what this is, but
with
it's good.
Scotia's, so.
Cheers.
Oh, this tastes like orange blossom.
Oh, I think you have the Kolsch.
All right.
It's a fun game.
Nobody's
That's what you're drinking.
complaining at all.
No complaints at all.
All right, so let's talk to. I feel like I've talked more than anybody
Well,
else.
because this is your day.
This is about
This
you.
is about you,
Yeah.
sir.
No,
we are here
but-
for you.
You're the first home brewer I've had on the podcast. I've talked to brewers.
Really?
I've talked to brewery owners.
Wow, that's amazing.
Talked to influencers,
right? I
but
have
you're
the
the first
urge to
home
clap.
brewer. Someone who's done it. You know.
yeah,
So
it's like
Represent.
Absolutely.
So for me, I've really approached my brewing process like a lot of people call it a hobby. Like for me, it's more than a hobby. It's a craft. Like if somebody enjoys baking, there's somebody on the other end of that process that's going to consume that item, those donuts or those pastries or those that pie. So for me, it's not a hobby. It's more than a hobby. It's a craft. So I try to, I brew beer that I want to drink, but I also brew beer, hopefully that it's good enough that people that I know, people I like hanging out with, are going to want to drink it. So the fact that you all came here today and hopefully none of my beers sucked.
They did not.
It did not.
So I think hobby is just a term a lot of people use just because we live in a very capitalist society for something that you don't make money off of, right? And so
It's
I
a
don't
pejorative term,
just because
seems
something
like.
is a hobby doesn't belittle it or doesn't mean it's not a craft.
Okay.
It's just something that you're not earning your livelihood based off of. And
Okay.
I think it's fantastic and I think more people should have hobbies.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well,
Yes, Ronnie.
using that
Yes.
that terminology that makes sense. But like but yeah, like there's some guys like I've that beer that we did today, that's batch number 19 on the year. There's some guys that have done 20 something already, and there's guys that haven't brewed for 11 months. But for me, if I wasn't making my own beer, I'd be buying it from somebody else. So
That's what I do. Yeah.
the fact,
Yeah.
so to give you an example, so if that wit beer, whoever's having it,
I think it's me.
that's my take on Blue Moon.
I like it better than Blue Moon.
Blue Moon,
May I try it?
Ooh.
Blue Moon costs
Recommended right
$1.67
Yeah.
per bottle. That beer, if you talk about ingredients, that beer cost me 67 cents per bottle. So
That's really good.
more than less than half the price of Blue Moon.
Yeah.
I brewed that beer
It's a winner.
So,
All right, I want to brew a Pliny the Younger clone now.
Oh,
Because
I'm sure you could find the recipe.
One
Yeah.
of the things, like I've told a bunch of my friends, I said, "Hey, come and hang out. Come and brew a beer with me. Tell me what kind of beer you want to brew, and we'll brew it, and I'll give you half of the batch. I'll give you a case of the beer." And so far, like, she's the only one that has taken me up on the offer. And
I mean, you said beer and we're here, so.
Well,
I could
yeah,
do a couple ideas.
Rachel
I
and I were
wrangle
hanging
all the people I know. The beer people, I'm like, let's fucking go. And we had like 15 people here today.
No, we don't play around.
No.
Rachel brings them out. Yeah, when you and I were hanging out right after we did the IPA podcast. It's coming out soon. You said, "Oh, you should." My friend Nate told me about this beer that you guys had, and then you said, "Hey, you should meet Nate." And then we hooked up on Instagram and we talked about doing this, and here we are.
Yeah.
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 So, yeah,
Here
I
we
think
are.
that was the catalyst of today. Was that you might have been saying it for a while
Probably
now,
so.
but-
I don't even remember, but yes, you're right.
But
Yes,
yeah,
we'll
I
go
mean,
with it.
Beautiful.
It's a blast, man. Like, just to think, like, there's been times when I've had a bunch of friends over. Like, I'm a big UFC fan, and I'll invite people over. I'll throw some meat in my smoker and throw a bunch of beers in the refrigerator. Just the fact, like, there's times when I've had like 6 or 7 people over, and everybody's got a glass in their hand, and I go, I made that beer. Like,
What a great feeling.
Yeah,
I didn't go to
seriously.
the grocery store. I didn't buy Bud Light. I didn't buy Coors Light. I didn't buy XYZ. Like, they're all drinking my beer. And it's just, like, when you think about people who like cooking or baking, to me it's no different than if I invited you over for fettuccine Alfredo with chicken. You're eating what I made. So, those times when I can sit back and watch people drinking my beer or go back to the fridge to grab another one, like, that's the thing that says, okay, I think I'm on the right track.
Absolutely. Cheers
Yeah.
to that.
Cheers
Yeah.
to
Oh my
that.
God, that's
Hey,
what it's all about.
we're literally all
isn't
drinking
it?
Nate's beer right now.
Yes.
Yes. Cheers. Well done, my friend.
All right,
Nate-
so
oh,
yeah, go
sorry.
ahead. No,
Oh, I was just
please.
gonna ask, like, have you thought about going like professional with it?
So I talked to Marshall at Simple Machine because I was there one night and we were just talking about stuff, and he said I never get to brew, and so like my end goal was to own my own place and brew my own beer, but he owns his own place, but he never gets to brew it.
Not anymore. Yeah.
And
Not
he said,
anymore. Right,
He said,
exactly.
if your passion is brewing, become a head brewer.
What a great piece of advice.
He goes, because if you're the owner, you'll never get to brew.
Yeah, because you're a business owner now.
Yeah.
You're not a brewer
A
anymore.
lot of different hats,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah. So I think that's my end goal, because just like right now, when you guys are drinking my beer, whether I own it or not, just to sit back and watch people enjoying what I created, I think that's my end goal. And so I've already set a goal to when I'm leaving the company that I work for, and who knows what happens in just under 3 years, but that's my goal. So we'll see.
right.
We'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah.
love it.
Can make it happen for sure.
Absolutely.
You know all the right people, so
Yep.
Anybody is wanting to open a brewery.
you have the clearly you
Yeah.
have the skills.
And Rachel, you said
So,
earlier, it's not what you know, it's who you know sometimes.
I mean,
Absolutely.
if that's one thing in my life I've learned, that's
Yep.
the one and only thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You can be the smartest person in the world, but if you don't have people around you to support you, guess what? You're shit out of luck.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
So Nate, you brought up something, and I'd be amiss if I didn't ask. I have 2 of the 3-headed dragon that is the Arizona Girls Pine Out or Phoenix Girls Pine Out. At Jessica and Ronnie here. What?
Oh my gosh, that is the biggest compliment I've ever.
I love it. I love
know,
being a dragon. This is fantastic.
I'm
Dragon?
so happy.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah. So, you guys have any? Or you ladies, excuse me, have any events coming up? Does the dragon have any?
Yeah, we have a lot of events planned for the rest of the year. Nothing set as far as dates. We are going to be doing the Beer Collab Brew Day for Greenwood and Beer Babes. We'll be there.
Very nice.
For that. What's the date again?
September 1st is Brew
Brew
Day.
Day.
That's the Brew Day.
Release day is September 22nd or
23rd.
23rd. Saturday.
It's a Saturday.
We
Yeah.
expect everyone at Greenwood.
Yes.
Everybody.
Yes.
I've
Yes,
already
everybody
I'll be there.
that day
I'll be
off.
there.
Please come
Please
and
come support us.
drink some beer. We have decided that the style of beer is going to be an herb infused saison.
I'm so excited for this.
I know
God.
it makes my heart pitter
So
patter.
excited.
It's
my
my
gosh.
favorite style of beer,
I
and
love
Jess too. I
saison.
know
Yes,
we've talked about
yes,
this.
love the saison. It's gonna be
Yes.
so much fun. So we're really looking forward to that. And then we have a couple other events in the works. I'm gonna just shout it out now. I mean, Summer from Desert Monk said we were gonna do a cheese and beer pairing. So hopefully that will be happening. We have a King's event probably happening too.
When are you gonna do another
just
thing
like
out in
some
the West
cheeses.
Valley?
We definitely need to do
As
that.
soon as Simple Machine is ready for us in their new location.
Yes. So we.
Oh, Simple's
That's
got
what
it?
I'm
Machine
working
has
on.
a new
Oh,
location
it's
with a
Simple
music
Grand,
venue. Yeah. So we're also TBD when that opens
TBD.
up. I think they're planning
Right.
on opening up in September, October. No pressure. But when they do
They are
open
open.
up,
They're open.
well, they're open with the music venue.
We want the full venue open.
Okay.
Before we bring us in full force.
Right. Yeah.
Full force.
So
So-
can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
So, how can I get involved? I mean, there's girls in the name, and obviously I'm not a girl. So how can I get involved?
You don't have to be.
You don't have to be.
Don't have to
So I think a big misconception is that you have to be a woman in order to go to our events. And yes, a lot of women do go to our events, but we're about promoting women in the beer community, specifically Phoenix, but ideally everywhere. But we're about promoting women in the beer community, getting more women in it, just supporting women. And so if
making
you
a safe environment. So if you're
Yeah,
coming
that's
and
it.
you're supporting other women, we are more than happy to have you.
Exactly. So
Okay.
you don't have to be a woman to support women, right? So like we welcome everybody and anybody to come to our events as long as that is also the reason why you're coming.
So you should follow us on
Okay.
Instagram.
I was.
So I've seen a few posts about girls pints out through other people, and I'm going, oh, that looks cool, but then I'm like, I'm not a girl, so can I go?
Absolutely.
Should I go?
Absolutely. You're coming
Yep.
to our next event. I'm inviting you. Yes. Like I said, like if you are about supporting women in beer and supporting women in Phoenix beer community specifically, then absolutely 100% please come. That's what we're about.
Okay.
We're not about like excluding or no, you have to just be a woman to come. We're just about promoting and getting women in the beer community. So if that's what you're about,
Okay.
please come.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, between my sisters and cousins and family members, I understand the struggle in a lot of places that women have. So I am 100% supportive in that, in all of that. That whether it's beer or whatever situation they have in going on, I'm 100% behind it.
Thank you much for saying that.
I was kind of like you, Nate.
Yeah.
Like I see the Girls Pine Out, and when I was in the Bay Area, I saw the San Jose Girls Pine Out, and I thought it was great. But at the same time, I just like, oh, Girls Pine Out. I kind of want to, participate, but I thought I didn't have a place because I wasn't a woman. It wasn't until Jess and I met Jess and Jen, and then eventually Ronnie, that it was more about that, more than that, and it was more just about supporting women in the craft community. And so I am in the disadvantage of I work nights, so I can't get out to the events and support them as much as I can. But having them on the program, I think, for me, makes me feel better. I wish I could participate in your events, so that's why
you've been so supportive. Don't even say sorry.
I know, but no. Well, I mean, I wish I could just be there because you guys look like you have so much fucking fun.
I mean, we do.
Jesus
Obviously, fun is first, right? Education is second. It's still included, right?
Yeah.
We have a lot of fun. I mean,
it's really just about making sure women feel like they have a space and that they're included.
I totally get
that.
that.
For them to know that they're a part of this community. And we always are very, very happy to have men included that are also going to be supportive.
Yeah. So I've been lucky enough to participate in a couple of your events, especially when you came out to Throne.
Yeah, you were there at our event, so I'm like, you have been there. Don't even say that you haven't. Like, you have been so supportive.
It's
so
just the proximity to where I live, and then also I can't do it on the weekdays. I just can't because I work nights. So, but
I mean, I think most of our events aren't really supposed to be like where everybody can come. We try and do different days. Of the
you have
week
to though,
and like different parts of the valley. We are trying. You know what I mean? There's some parts of the valley it might not be as easy for people.
Or some people can't do it on the weekend. They can only do it after work, and so I get that. Have you guys thought about doing like a midweek thing?
Midday. It gets a little hard because the three of us do have corporate jobs, right?
Day jobs.
Yeah, fucking jobs. God
as much as we
damn it.
love being a part of Girls Point Out, we do also have jobs as well that
don't get paid
support
for
us.
I wish I did.
So we can drink beer.
Oh my God.
Wouldn't that be the dream? Oh yeah, but
I know,
we
right?
do this because we love it. And
Yes, very much so.
yeah, so yeah, just follow us on Instagram and you'll see all the events on there. But we have some fun ones coming up for sure. But we also love just, even if you're on our Instagram, love just supporting other people's events and other breweries. Like that's also what we're about, is supporting what's out there. The people that support us and that again are about supporting women. We're lucky. Phoenix is a great beer community.
Yes.
So
And it's so young in the beer community. Like if you look at places like, the Pacific Northwest, Northeast, Midwest, down in San Diego, they're so deep and rich. And if you look at Arizona, we're new.
So
like
young.
some of our
But that makes it exciting.
youngest,
absolutely.
and there's
Agreed.
and it's still not formed yet. It's it's still a chance to form a very inclusive beer community.
Absolutely. I've been asked a lot of times, like, oh, you love beer so much. Why didn't you go live in, like, Oregon or San Diego or these other, like, more established places? I'm like, yeah, that would be fun. Like, I would love that. I love visiting, but...
Like, this
Phoenix?
is our home, though, right?
Yeah.
So we want to encourage what we want to see here,
And also,
where we
like,
live.
if I leave, then, like, who else is going to promote? I mean, there's a lot of people, right? But, like, that's why you have people here to promote it and support it and build it up, right?
It's like that.
And so I think that's what we're all about here, is doing that. And so Phoenix, I mean, I think it's on the tables to be a #1 spot for a beer place.
It's like that.
I agree.
It's like that saying. It's one thing to be part of a chain. It's another thing to start one.
Exactly.
And so you look at some of the oldest breweries in the state. You're looking at like Four Peaks and Grand Canyon, but you look at like some of the big movers and shakers. Like Ren House has only been around 8-9 years. It hasn't been that long.
No.
So I mean, it's still young as far as when it comes to the beer scene, and a lot of that has to do with all the laws that have been passed in the last few years.
That has helped.
That helps a lot. So you can't overlook that. But this beer scene. Nate, are you from Arizona? Because you mentioned Ohio, and then I see this Ohio glass.
I'm an Arizona native.
Okay.
That's just supporting other people in the homebrew community. Yeah, I'm an Arizona native.
Oh, all right.
Like if I had to calculate, I've probably maybe spent a total of 3 weeks outside of the state of Arizona in my whole life.
That's dedication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go Arizona.
Oh, okay. All right then. Yeah, so you've been in the heart of it. You know the beer scene in Arizona then, right? Pretty well?
So what's
Spit it
interesting about me, so before I started brewing,
Yeah.
all I drank was either Bud Light or Dos Equis Amber Lager.
Okay.
And
So just 3 years, you just basically started doing craft in the last
like in the 3 years that I've been brewing, I've probably brewed at least 60 different beer styles.
Okay.
Or beer recipes. I shouldn't say beer styles, beer recipes.
All right.
And it's so crazy to think that I was drinking this middle of the road, so narrow and blinders on style of beer.
Yeah.
And I've brewed sours, I've brewed porters, I've brewed stouts, ales, lagers. Tried to brew a hazy that I think
It was great.
so.
You're too hard on yourself, man.
So it's kind of interesting, like when people talk to me about breweries or styles of beer, I'm still learning. That's why I absolutely love going to Rachel's beer school because I'm still learning. I know what I like. I know I brew what I like. I know what I used to drink. But yes, I've been brewing for 3 years, but I'm still learning from her. So.
And I learned from you today. So this is a
About beer,
mutual
though, right? Like,
relationship.
everybody's constantly learning.
Oh my God, yeah.
You gotta keep
You're
learning.
Chasing
You're
the craft.
dead if
Like
you're
there's
not
guys
learning.
I love
that call it
that
chasing
term,
the
man.
craft.
I love
Yeah.
that term.
Because if I ever felt like, okay, yeah, I'm good. I know what I'm doing. Every beer is perfect. I'm fooling myself. You're always gonna be. None of us can achieve perfection, but we can always push towards perfection. And I think that's what drives us. And
I was gonna say, I think in like the big scheme of things, or like the big boys in craft beer, I think that's why Dogfish Head is always doing those weird ancient beers, because they're just trying to push it. They're chasing it. They're trying to. They know they haven't perfected it. They just want to keep doing it.
yeah,
That's on the bigger scale. Like to the more personal scale, like what you're saying is like you just want to keep you keep learning. You keep changing. If you learn something new, you want to try something new.
Yeah.
yeah. Like even the tequila lager. I saw a bunch of people that were brewing stouts or porters, and they were aging them in oak barrels or wine barrels and all that other stuff. And I thought to myself, like, why hasn't anybody done a light beer or a lighter beer and aged it in a lighter spirit? So that's when I came up with the idea of doing a Mexican lager and aging it with agave chips and tequila. And so, and then a few people said, oh, such and such brewery had this tequila infused lager like 10 years ago. But I think it takes those original ideas. I didn't steal nothing's really original anymore. Everybody's done that thing before. But when everybody was doing these stouts and bourbon barrels and all that stuff, so I was thinking, why can't I brew a lighter beer in some kind of and age it in something that's not going to turn it dark?
Yeah,
and
they're zigging, you're zagging.
Yeah, and that's when I came up with the tequila lager beer. And I think, like, I'm not one of those people that throws Fruity Pebbles and Cocoa Puffs and all those things in their beer.
The cereal beers,
Lactose and pineapple puree and.
So I try to, like, I don't want to go off that deep end, but I try to come up with a beer that I think it's gonna taste good, that's interesting, like that pineapple seltzer. Like the recipe kit is for pineapple seltzer, and I thought, why not make a sour pineapple seltzer? So and I removed the yeast and the yeast nutrients, and I added a yeast that would turn it sour. And so I still try to color within the lines, but also push the possibility of what's possible.
That's why you're the busy scientist. You're experimenting.
Absolutely. And I think you made such
Scientist.
a like important point is like just because it was done before doesn't mean that you can't do it and also make it great. Like I think a lot of and I mean I've been one to think that like, oh, it's been done before. People are already doing that. Like there's already a good beer like that out there. Like that doesn't matter. Like you can make it still and make it great and maybe put your own touch to it or you know, figure out something else and discover something about yourself in the midst of doing it. So I think it's important whether it's beer or whatever you're talking about. Like, just because it was done before doesn't mean you can't make it great too. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there. For
good on you.
y'all.
No, that's a good point because I mean, at some point, like even in music, there's how many notes are on the scale,
Yep.
but how do you put those notes together?
Yeah. How many bands are out there, right? But,
How many IPAs are out there?
yeah.
So,
Right.
And how many are delicious? Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
only
Just
so many
doesn't mean
coming
that your IPA won't be good too.
Some of them.
Some of them. Like
Says
that.
Ronnie.
Like that would stop a lot of people, right, from doing anything. If they're like, oh, there's already a good one out there. Why would I make my own?
Absolutely.
So
Right.
don't let it stop you.
Yeah.
Good reminder. For
Yeah.
sure.
Sorry.
All right, so you guys good? I think we've been talking. We've been talking for an hour.
happy?
Have we really?
So much more to say.
Say, we're just grooving. Like I'm like in the vibe right
Like, what
now.
else
Like
do
I
I
could
talk
talk for
about?
like another.
Running my mouth forever. Yes. Yes.
No, but it's your podcast, so you can say that's the end.
People don't want to listen.
We need to
to
save
us.
some for the next one.
Yeah.
That's what we need to save some for the next one.
That's true.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we need to
Sure.
plan the next one then.
We'll have another. Yeah, we'll have another. This is fun.
Like one of the things that I've told a bunch of my friends over the 3 years that I've been brewing, I've told a bunch of people, hey, what kind of beer do you like? Tell me what kind of beer you like. I'll find a recipe. We'll brew it. I'll give you half of the case. So, the fact, like you and I talked, and you said Belgian Tripel. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna brew it. So, like that's what made this fun for me, because like I said before, I brew what I want to brew, what I want to drink, and my goal for this year is to brew 26 batches of beer. So I've almost run out of ideas.
Okay, so I can give you a recipe if I think of one? Or
Yeah.
Yes,
perfect.
the answer is
Yeah.
yes.
Okay,
All right, so-
great.
And we'll come
Absolutely.
back.
My birthday's
So-
coming up.
so-
like I maybe need a birthday brew.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
Heck yeah.
Ronnie, yes.
I'm off on Saturdays, and once a month I get a weekend off. So between Rachel and I, we coordinated, like we had talked about, I think it was the 23rd, and then you weren't available. So
I don't remember, but yes, I believe you. Yeah.
so it's just a matter. I have the flexibility to change my schedule to a degree. So all you guys have to do is just tell me when, and I'll make it happen.
Oh, we'll make this happen.
But
Oh, yeah. I got some ideas.
We'll make it happen.
but I mean, this was fun, and so with this Belgian triple, I mean, it's kind of a straightforward recipe. There's not a lot of interpretation. But let's say if she wanted to brew a hazy, or if she wanted to brew a sour, or if she wanted to brew a sour with mango and guava. So there's all these different directions that we can go.
Absolutely.
I like
But-
maple and toffee, and my birthday is November 24th.
So we're going the porter stout
Yes, please.
route.
Lining this up for
The
you, sir.
delicious wintertime
Yeah,
flavors.
So
Yes.
maple and toffee.
Yes, my two favorite things.
Yeah, I would say that's definitely heavier than an ale,
Oh yes.
and not as heavy as a stout. So a porter would be the. So then I have to research and find out how I can get that toffee flavor. And then with maple, like if you add maple syrup to the boil during the boil, it's just going to create sugar for the yeast, and you have no maple flavor at the end. So
Post fermentation.
so we'd have to figure out when, or do we go maple extract, which is not actual maple sugar, but it will get you the flavor.
The essence of.
Yeah.
Vanessa, we're recording a...
Vanessa has the sneezes.
Allergies.
Vanessa
We can all
has
relate.
the sneezes.
I think she's here for the maple, okay? That's what's happening.
Yeah.
Chihuahua.
Yeah, and
she's lovely.
She does that
Vanessa.
for attention. Like,
Well,
there'll
she's
be
like, I want to be on the podcast.
there'll be times where she hadn't sneezed for hours, and then I come home and she's just nonstop.
She's allergic to your work.
Girl.
That's why you're bringing work home with you.
Yeah.
She's gonna start sneezing.
But
Leave it at the door.
but I love her to death. Like I would not
Sweetie.
trade this dog for anything.
So
But
yeah,
yeah.
We'll do this again, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is fun.
We'll come through. We'll do another bottle share. We'll bring some beers. We'll drink some of your beers. And
Yeah. And I will not
Talk
put
about beer.
70 beers in my refrigerator and have it not cool all the beers next time.
Right.
It was perfect today. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. All right, you guys want to say some parting comment before we leave, Nate?
Party comment.
No. I would say check out my Instagram, Boozy Scientist.
There you go. Plug.
And
Do it.
and hopefully there's something that you like and you decide you want to follow me. Because
You do have a very entertaining Instagram.
and
I gotta
Yes,
say.
he does.
yeah, like I don't consider myself a content creator. Whether I was on Instagram or not,
But
I would
you
still be
are.
doing the things that I was doing.
Still create content.
I just some of the videos, like some of the chug videos, I do just for Instagram. But
Chug videos?
Yes. Oh my God, they're so good.
These. Oh,
but
no,
for the most part,
Nate's a fucking champion chugger. Holy shit.
I mean, he's
I-
shaved his eyebrows before, so
but
I
But-
believe it.
but hopefully somebody finds what I'm doing between my brewing and my grilling and smoking. They find something interesting. So I've had people tell me I'm a content creator, but whether the camera is on, I feel like I would be doing the same thing either way. But
That's good.
hopefully
Yeah.
hopefully I'm doing stuff that people find interesting
I do.
or
Yeah.
enjoy.
I like it.
We're all here. We're all here
Hands
for
up.
Clearly,
Yeah.
you
I
are.
don't hit like just because. I'm like, hey, that's pretty fucking cool.
So that's my
Yeah.
thing.
Right on.
On
Jess,
to-
want to say anything?
Yeah, absolutely. So this was amazing. Thank you, Greg
course, yeah.
and Nate, for having us over. This was such a fun time. If you have never homebrewed, you should definitely try it. And also maybe come over to Nate's and watch him homebrew. We're gonna
Yeah.
have like 100 people over the next day to homebrew. So you're welcome.
Yeah. Hey,
And also follow Phoenix Girls Pine Out.
And then
Yes.
follow
Thank you, Ronnie.
PHX Girls Pine Out. We have a lot of fun events coming up soon, so please follow us and support
on.
women in beer. Love
That's
you.
right. Ronnie?
That's
That was
what I
it?
have.
All right. Rachel.
Drink beer, drink all the beer. Don't be afraid of beer. People that listen to this podcast, though, are not afraid of beer. But follow the Beer Babes. Check us out, Beer Babes Family
Yeah.
on Instagram. That's all.
Thank you for downloading yet again another poll. Wow.
We got a lot of beer today, okay, guys? Don't
The
judge
beer-
us.
Thank
the
you.
beers are getting to you.
Can you please keep that in the
And
episode?
this, that's my line too.
You have to. You have
Do we need to
to.
hold up key cards for you?
I've done it like 400 something times and I fuck it up. Great. Thank you for downloading yet again another Cold Brew podcast. On behalf of me, Rachel, Ronnie, Jessica, and Nate, we like to say cheers. Until next time.
Cheers.